You could wake up this time next year and realize you've just had the most financially successful year of your life. And the key to this transformation is something that you can start doing today. Many people set financial goals every new year, but most fail by February. Why is that? It's because they're relying on outdated habits. 2025 can be different for you, not by doing more, but by doing different. Grab a drink, take a seat, let's talk about it. What's up, y'all? I'm Brian. I'm gonna show you 3 specific changes that you can make in 2025 to transform your finances. Stick with me because by the end, you'll understand why most people fail, but you won't. There's one thing that most people know that they should be doing, but no one wants to do it. And it's like putting your house on a weak foundation. Cracks are gonna form over time, but it's gonna take years. And by the time that they're visible, the damage is already done and it's already really expensive. And the same is true with your finances. I had a coworker who wasn't the best at planning his spending. Whenever he got into trouble, he would just float the balance on his credit card and only pay the minimum until he could pay it off. This worked okay until he had 3 months in a row that were really tight, and he built up such a balance that he had trouble actually keeping up with the minimums after 3 months of stacking it up. He ended up having to get a loan with a lower interest rate just to pay off his credit card debt. During this time, he and I were working really hard too. We were both picking up overtime shifts to make extra money, but all of that hard work that he put in got negated because he didn't have a budget. He didn't have the proper financial foundation. Most people want to skip the basics because it's just not exciting to budget, to build up an emergency fund, to track your spending. Most people want to skip to the fun part, which is investing, picking up a side hustle, maybe trying to start a business, or working a bunch of overtime shifts to bring in extra investing money. But all of that falls apart if you don't have the proper financial foundation. It's like putting a mansion on quicksand. It looks great until it all collapses. And budgeting isn't just about avoiding the worst possible situation. When done correctly, budgeting can take you from doing really well to doing even better. The value that budgeting adds to my life is I'm able to make sure that I'm only spending my money on the things that bring me the most happiness. That's because I see my money as symbolic of my life and my time. I trade my time every weekday to work a job to make money. So if I waste my money, it's like I'm wasting my life. Only after I've mastered my budget do I think about the next most important step, which is growing my money as fast and reliably as possible. So here's a question. Would you rather grind every day and save a little bit extra every day? Or would you rather focus your energy on one task that makes the biggest difference? Once you reach a certain level of mastery on your budgeting and saving, diminishing returns can set in. Going from 0% savings to 10%, that's a pretty big win, and that's not too hard. Even going from 10% to 20% isn't that bad. But pushing up to saving 30% of your income or 40% of your income, that can be incredibly difficult depending on your level of income. There's also a ceiling. Once you cut down to the bare minimum expenses, where do you go from there? And are you really living a fulfilling life only spending money on the bare necessities? People will spend hours clipping coupons to save $10 when the big wins are right in front of them. When my buddy switched from using credit cards incorrectly to using credit cards properly, he saved thousands of dollars. Every $5,000 he had in credit card debt was $1,000 that he had to pay in interest payments. And then once he started using the credit card bonuses properly, he actually started making money. For me, I made $4,000 last year alone from credit card bonuses, which is a pretty big win. Another big win for me was going from putting my money in a savings account and then switching that over to investing. When I was putting my money in a savings account, I was losing money to inflation every single year. And now that I'm investing with average returns, I'm getting 10% every year. Every $10,000 that I'm investing gets me $1,000 in returns every single year. Compounding is the only guaranteed way to turn a small amount of money to millions of dollars. Even Albert Einstein says that compounding interest is the 8th wonder of the world. One thing that many Americans screw up is their 401k. And I hear a lot of people dog on the 401k. They say it's not that good or it takes too long, but I make thousands of dollars every year by putting money into my 401k. A 401k is just a savings account that your employer offers you. And a lot of them will give a matching program. This is very common. So for me, every $2 I put in, they match $1. So if I put $5,000 in 1 year, I get $2,500 in free money. And on top of that, I also get tax savings. Money that you put into your 401k doesn't get taxed. So if I put $5,000 in, I get over $1,000 in tax savings. $3,500 in free money for every $5,000 I put in. It takes no effort either. All I have to do is set up automatic distributions on my paycheck, and I don't have to think about it ever again. And finally, this method has the most potential for increasing your income, but it's also the most difficult because it's open-ended. There's not just one clear path. You got to increase your income. This might look like talking to your boss about your salary. It might look like talking to your boss about your contributions to the company. Unfortunately, it is good business to hold on to talent for as little money as possible for as long as possible. So sometimes your boss doesn't know that you're unhappy with your salary, so they're not going to go out of their way to give you more money. Sometimes they're not aware of how much benefit you bring to the company. So if you don't make yourself exist in the mind of the right person at the right time by advocating for yourself, then you could be leaving lots of money on the table. Sometimes it's best to just switch jobs altogether. People on average get more pay bumps if they change employment than people who stay in one place. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. If you're changing jobs way too much, then it's going to look bad on your resume and you might not be able to get another job in the future. Also, you might have a clear plan for moving up in a company that you're in. It might make more sense to take a lower salary now for the chance to move up a lot later than it is to get a small pay bump now and then forego the opportunity for advancement. The bottom line is focus on big wins like optimizing your 401k, fixing your credit cards, pushing for more income. These are things that can save you thousands of dollars or earn you thousands of dollars in 2025. And it takes minimal effort. Instead of grinding every single day on a bunch of small wins, put in the effort to get big wins that continue to multiply for the rest of your life. But there is one more strategy to completely transform how you think about money. And it doesn't have anything to do with numbers. Wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. It's my mindset that made it possible for me to go after the big wins instead of grinding on small, meaningless victories. My mindset is what informs my budget. It's how I zero in on the spending that brings me real happiness and what spending doesn't add value to my life at all. I know this can sound a little woo-woo, but I was making the same mistakes again and again, and it wasn't until I changed my mindset that I was able to make the right decisions consistently, which gives me compounding value over time. In the past, I've been guilty of both types of errors. I would spend way too much time optimizing to try to save an extra $30 to invest this month, or how can I use these 5 different credit cards to get another 1% cash back on spending. I spent way too much time on these things when I should have been focusing on the big wins. I should have started this YouTube channel way sooner, for instance. Your mind is like a GPS for your money. If it's set to scarcity mode, you're just not going to track for the big wins in life. Many people sabotage themselves by focusing too much on what they can't afford instead of figuring out how to afford what they value the most. To rewire your mindset, start by setting clear goals, focusing on gratitude for what you have, and focus on the progression, not the destination or the perfection. This shift will make every financial decision in 2025 easier and more aligned with your values. Now that we've got the tools to transform our finances, let's look ahead at what might be holding us back and how to fix it. Check out this video to see what crucial mistake 46% of Americans are making. Catch you on the flip side.